Welcome, you guys. I am coming in hot straight from a cycle class, and the message that's coming through is very, very clear. I was so excited. I wasn't even supposed to go live when I rescheduled this. Um, I tried to go live this morning, and there was all this like landscaping and stuff outside. So I ended up rescheduling it. So for 11 my time, and it's only 10:42 because I couldn't wait because the message is just so strong. So I'm going to share with you how this message unfolded today and everything that occurred in order to bring this message through. So I think this is going to be relevant. So I attempted to go live this morning and realized that that was not going to have really good audio at all. So I rescheduled it. And of course, like I always do as a committed channel of the divine, I ask God, what is the message that wants to come through today? Use me for the highest and greatest good. What do you want me to share? And I already started getting hit with certain number sequences that have significant meaning. And then on the way to the fitness, to my cycle class, I saw a license plate that said rise. And this message is just coming through so strong. And God was using the cycle instructor to share the message that needs to come through because we are all divine channels. We are all one. We are all apparently separate expressions of the one source. And so I get to this cycle class, and the number sequences that are starting prior to that are all around abundance, the end of a cycle, manifesting your most abundant timeline, the end of a cycle, and rebirth. And then I see the license plate rise to my cycle class, and my cycle instructor. There's going to be some strong sacred masculine energy come through here for this message. Um, his message was coming through. It was all just lining up. It was so good. I'm going to see if I can articulate this. This is your year to rise. Yes. And the song that was playing is It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn. Yes, that was coming through. And that you are unstoppable and that you get to choose. You get to create this. This is about being the divine creator and creating your most abundant timeline. And you get to choose this now. You're entering like a portal where the energies are very, very conducive and supportive for you to choose for you to choose the worthy version of you, the you that is already exists. The other message that was coming through was that 2024 is the you in 2024 is not the same you that you're going to be moving into for 2025. The 2024, there was a lot of purging, there's a lot of purifying, there's a lot of clearing, and you're moving into a whole new version of you. The one that's already and always has been worthy. And the message is coming through is that, stop looking backwards, stop looking in the rearview mirror, stop looking at the past. It's all conditioning, it's all habit, it's all patterns that were created from the mind and societal conditioning or whatever. And it's time to be able to rise above that, and to be able to be the co-creator that you are, the divine creatrix that you are. There was so much coming through. The other thing that was coming through is that 2025 is the year you become unstoppable. Unstoppable, because you fully embody your power. And this was really resonating. And what really resonates that wants to come through is that when you realize that you have infinite intelligence, that you have so much faith rooted in the unseen world, in the source of who you truly are, and you know that you are one with the ultimate creator, you are unstoppable. When you realize that you have life force energy and infinite intelligence pumping your heart and running through your veins, you become unstoppable. So the rebirth, the rise that is occurring is alchemy. You are rising from the ashes of your old self. Your old self is not going to being the one that is rooted in the conditioning and the patterns and the habits that are rooted in unworthiness, fear, or lack. That you is not going to be able to move into 2025 and tap into your highest abundant timeline. So this is about co-creating the abundant timeline that is most resonant with your soul, coming home to your heart, coming home to the truth you are. I swear, like God was speaking through this instructor. He's also saying, I am. He would say, I am unstoppable and I create my reality and all of these things. And then he would stop on I am. Those are the two most important words he said. And I was just smiling from ear to ear because I was in full receptive mode. Meanwhile, there's like angel numbers all over my bike, like tracking, like the little thing when you're cycling, all the numbers on it. So, so this is really important to understand. It's your I am presence. This isn't you taking the separate self version of you into 2025. The sense of separate self, the one that feels separate from everything else, the one that feels as if the world is something outside of you, that there is something you need to do or get in order to be worthy. That is not the you that I'm referring to. That is the you that you are leaving behind. This is the death of the old self. This is the death of the false self. You are moving into your most abundant timeline as the I am presence that you are. Sorry, I'm so excited but the energy is coming through faster than I can speak. The I am presence that you are. Your divine presence, your embodied divinity is what you're moving into. This is upgrading you into your most highest abundant timeline. It's going to cost you the death of your old self, the false self. This is the rebirth that's occurring. This is the rise. You are the phoenix rising from the ashes of your old self and into your most abundant timeline as the divine creator that you are, that is unstoppable and on fire and in alignment with what is being called to be brought through you as a divine creator. And that's going to look different for everyone. Now, here's where the sacred masculine energy comes in. The other thing that he said that was really, really key, that was all like, doom, doom, doom. Like I was just getting like download after download and connecting all the dots. The other thing that he mentioned was, when you're on the cycle bike and you hover, right? You're either in the seat or you're standing. Well, actually, we'll get to that. When you are doing intervals on the cycle bike, this is what he was speaking to. He's like, anybody can do intervals. It's easy to have the little short spurts of you showing up for yourself, right? So there's metaphor here. Like anybody can do intervals. That's easy. But then there were these long stretches of like 7 or 8 minutes where you have it all the way cranked up and you're going for like a full 8 minutes. And this is where the mind wants to come in and be like, God, this sucks. God, this isn't, like, man, this sucks. Like, this isn't, like, is this ever going to be over? That kind of thing. When you're in the intervals and you're just coming in and out of really showing up for yourself, anybody can do that for a short spurt. But it takes a commitment and a devotion for you to show up for yourself consistently. And this is so, so key to the messages that have been coming through, which is part of why I even started this live series, right? It's about consistency. It's about devotion. It's about being able to show up as the channel that I am and being able to bring through these messages on a consistent basis. It's about breaking out of my old patterns. It's about not making excuses. It's about holding myself accountable. It's about taking sacred action, which I talked a lot about in the previous episode. So sacred action, if I can talk, sacred action is very, very obviously masculine oriented, but taking action for the sake of taking action, that's where people get tripped up, because you're trying to figure out what to do. And then you take action for the sake of taking action. And then you get burned out, overwhelmed, because shit's not working and it's not meant to work. If you're creating it from the mind, you're meant to be creating from the heart moving forward. You're meant to be creating your most abundant timeline from you being rooted in your heart and soul and what your heart and soul wants to create. If you're trying to create it from the mind and then taking action from that place, you're in distorted masculine energy. And yes, you can have marginal success by having distorted masculine energy, but it won't be fun. You won't be in the flow. You won't be living your best life. The frequency will not be aligned, and it'll be compromising you in some way. This is about coming into the heart and then allowing the guidance from your heart space and from your soul to lead you, so then you can take sacred action from that place. And that will light you up and feel like fun and feel like play, and also get you out of your comfort zone and possibly invoke fear, like I shared in yesterday's episode. Just like this live stream series, it's a huge commitment to showing up every single day. And there's plenty of excuses and reasons not to do it, but it's the consistency and it's the devotion is my favorite word about this, because it's, you really have to choose what there. You cannot serve two masters moving forward. You cannot serve the fear and the ego and the false sense of self and the old programming, which is all mental conditioning, which is not you. It's just, that's not you, but so many people are identified as if that is them. And I know if you're here on this live stream, then you've already at least had glimpses of your true nature, if not fully, have moved into self-realization and integration phase. But those patterns are not you. And it's going to take, the other thing that was coming through right before I hit live is, it's going to take a little bit of, think of this as like a rocket ship taking off planet Earth into the atmosphere, into space. Like that rocket has to have a lot of force and energy to get through Earth's atmosphere, to get through the gravitational pull before it can be, before it can break into outer space, right? Outer space. There really is no outer space. It's all one. There is nothing outside of you, and there is no out there world. It's all one, which is another, I don't want to focus there yet, but the rocket ship has to have a lot of momentum is a good word to use right here. Momentum, power, empowerment. We're going to call it empowerment, but a lot of momentum and power. And for us, that's empowerment. So you really have to be willing and able to empower yourself, but you have to be willing to get through this zone of resistance, I call it, with clients. There's a zone of resistance when you're getting ready to break into a new timeline and a new, and break old patterns and free yourself from past conditioning and stuff like that. And there's this zone of resistance. There's this, it's like the rocket ship getting pulled back by the gravitational pull. It has to really exert some force in order to get through the atmosphere. And so this atmosphere is this zone of resistance that we experience as we begin to break free from old patterns and conditionings and really move into a new timeline, because you're going to get pulled back, just like the gravitational pull, by your old patterns, habits, and conditions. So obviously, one way to move through this zone of resistance, first and foremost, with awareness, realizing that you're not those patterns. You have to be able to recognize them. You have to be able to make conscious choice and be aware of the patterns, so you can make conscious choice that gets you out of those zones of resistance, which is what I did when I started a whole new live stream series, right? It was to move into a whole new, it was being called, right? Like it was me responding to the call. It didn't come out of my mind. It came out of a response to a call that came from my heart, that lit me up and gave me a sense of joy and playfulness and fun. So first and foremost, it's about becoming aware of the conscious patterns and being able to be so devoted and so consistent to looking at the pattern and looking at the sabotaging tendencies and being able to, just like that metaphor on the bike, be able to ride it out. Like everybody can choose themselves, and once in a while, right? This is about consistently choosing yourself moment to moment, day by day, in every moment, and start to realize where you are selling yourself short, where you're self-sacrificing, where you are lying to yourself, where you are making excuses or justifications, where you are, sabotaging your whatever, right? And so conscious awareness, so then you can see what you're actually doing. Or this is when it's really beneficial to work with someone that shines a light on all of your BS very lovingly, which is what I'm here to do. And I have no problem sharing that, because that is my mission. That is my gift. Women and men, but primarily women, get into my space and they have instant breakthroughs because they are not able to hide in my presence. And that's because I'm just channeling what needs to come through from their higher self, my higher self, and infinite intelligence. And it all comes through and they're not able to hide. So that being said, they alchemize their shadow very, very quickly, because it's oftentimes what's in the shadow that's keeping us stuck, keeping us in the zone of resistance, which is back to the word rise, right? Rising from the ashes of your old self means you're really alchemizing the shadow, the part of you that is you're hiding, the part of you that where you're dimming your light, the part of you that feels shameful or unworthy and things like that. And the big thing to understand about the shadow is it also holds the key to your greatest divine gifts. So, just like Joseph Campbell said, I'm getting full body chills right now. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And what he's referring to is moving into the shadow and being able to really alchemize that, so you can turn all of the things holding you back into gold, spiritual gold, right? That was the other thing that was coming up. Everything that's happened in the past, stop looking in the rearview mirror. You're not taking that version with you. Everything that's happened before, there's a silver lining in it. There's a lesson in it. There's a way to allow that to be used for good that fuels your expansion. But you have to be willing to do the work, and you have to be willing, committed, and devoted to being consistent with it and choosing yourself in each and every single moment, not just in a while. So back to this, shining a light with clarity is the first step, right, on the sabotaging patterns and where you're holding yourself stuck or buying into stories or narratives of unworthiness or lack and things like that, because you have to be able to see it. Otherwise, you're just walking around asleep. And I know if you're listening to this, you are on the ascension timeline. So being asleep to the things that are like that are rooted in falsehood and untruth, like you not being good enough, or you not being worthy, or that you are limited by what you can create in this world. Those are things that you already are aware of, right? Like you are on the ascension timeline. If you've landed on this live stream series, then you already know this. The second piece of this is where the masculine energy comes in. So you got to be aware, right? So you can see, but then you have to actually be willing to take the aligned action that gets you out of your comfort zone, that allows you to break your old pattern, that allows you to do a pattern interrupt on everything that you've identified that is keeping you stuck, right? Like you have to be able to take that sacred action. And so this is both feminine and masculine energy, right? Because it's the divine you embodied in your divinity that's moving forward, right? And when you take action from that, it's always aligned. So is this making sense? Like, there is the other thing that's been coming through is that 2025 is going to go by like that. It's going to go by very fast. Time is kind of going to feel like it's speeding up. There's a lot that's going to be happening on the global stage and individually. And if you're here for it and you're ready to choose yourself, you're going to be accelerated onto your ascension timeline. This is key to understand. Like, this is like a whole abundance portal that you're entering. And this is for everybody that's chosen to be on this journey. And you might not be you might still be going through dark night of the soul and things like that, and going through maybe that void phase and things like that. But if you are, just know that that is a temporary phase. You will begin to integrate and come back into fully embodying and self-actualizing your divinity. That was just for someone that needed to hear this, but I'm not going to sidetrack it. That's a different topic for a different live stream. You have to be willing to show up for yourself and stop looking backwards, because it's all just habit and conditioning. just have to come in with your present moment awareness, see what is happening. You can ask for the guidance. Ask for the guidance. You'll receive the guidance. You're one with all things. Like, it's impossible for you not to be guided on this journey. You already know. You already know where you're playing small, or where you're giving your power away, most likely, or where you're not choosing yourself. All you have to do is check in with yourself and see how you feel. Check in with how you feel, because this is leading with the heart. This is not leading with the mind. How do you feel? Where are you compromising your values? Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you allowing yourself to stay stuck in situations, circumstances, or relationships that are not serving your highest good? Where are you not choosing yourself? Right? And then what are you going to do about it? And then what are you going to do about it consistently, and not do about it in a way that's like, I'm going to go take a bunch of actions. I think maybe I need to repeat this, but it isn't about taking a bunch of actions for the sake of taking action. But there are actions taken that are required to get you out of that zone of resistance, right? Like, that's going to try to pull you back. And the way I describe this with clients is, the egoic mind is going to hook you emotionally and mentally, like with thoughts and emotions, try to hook you back into the drama, into the story, into the narrative, into the old ways of being, old ways of thinking, conditioning. Right here, right now, there is no past. Right here, right now, there is no future. This is key to understand, because your I am presence is where you embody your divinity, and you will only be able to embody your divinity now. You can't embody it in the future, because there is no future. You can't embody it in the past, because the past is just a memory. Like, it doesn't exist. You're doing it all right now in the present moment. And so you will never experience your highest abundant timeline in the future. So if you are living from the mind, trying to figure it out, trying to project into the future, trying to avoid the past, and your anxiety and worry and all the things, like, you're just going to stay living from the conceptual reality, which is not embodied in your divinity. It's not embodied in your true essence. You will only be able to experience it now. And in the now, in the moment of now, where you exist, where you are, that, it's like the portal to you, the true you, the you that is beyond this physical being that you think that you are. This is one expression. You are much more than this. There's multiple dimensions of you. You are a multi-dimensional being, but you're here having this human experience, and your portal to the divine presence that you are is you here right now, and you'll always know whatever actions need to be taken. And you'll be able to tell by how you feel. You'll be able to tell by if it feels heavy or light, if it feels like play and fun and joy, or if it feels, heavy or dense, So you're going to be able to feel. It's your job then to make the conscious choice to choose you and what lights you up. And only in the moment will you know what that is. As soon as you jump to the mind trying to figure it out, you've lost the frequency of your heart connectedness where that's guiding you. The ego's trying to come in the back door. And so it's really important to just take the action, take the inspired action, is the sacred action, which is an inspired action that oftentimes will induce fear or anxiety and bump you up against your patterns and conditioning, which is the zone of resistance that you need to break through in order to fly free, in order to get through that. And there's a little, so everybody's different, but we all have sabotaging tendencies. We all have, as long as we're here living this human existence, there's going to be some level of ego involved in order to have an individual expression. Ego is not bad. That's part of our individualized expression. It's when ego is running the show, driving all the decisions, that's when it's a problem. So when you're stuck in the mind, trying to figure everything out, that's the ego trying to figure it out. That's the egoic mind trying to figure it out. So you got to come in, tap in, and trust. And I just think the beginning of this, on how this, sharing the story on how the message unfolded today, is how I live on a regular basis, in tune with everything around me, because life is really a big metaphor. Life is really a symbol. Like, we're creating this. It's a projection of our consciousness, which is why you're always in the right place at the right time, which is why this is, you're creating everything. We are creating all of this, both collectively and individually, within our own individualized reality, and within the world and collective stage. And when you begin to just live with the interconnectedness of all things and realize that nothing is happening on accident. Like, it wasn't an accident that I shut down the live stream at 8 o'clock because of the landscaper, and then went on that journey with life that reflected back to me everything that I already know to be true, because that's why everything I shared on this is exactly why I was getting the hits to even start this live stream and be serious and be consistent with it on a daily basis instead of just on a weekend, right? It's because of this energy right here. It's because we are at a pivotal point right now in humanity's ascension, where if you're willing to choose yourself and choose for real, you, moment to moment, and make the discerning decisions on what is in alignment for you and not, based on how you feel, and you're willing to look at where you are buying into the old programming, story, and narrative, which is basically a fear-based consciousness, whether that's unworthy or settling or not being good enough, or lack or scarcity or whatever, however it's playing out for you, being willing to look at that and choose differently. I am, right? Like, the presence that you are, I am. You could stop right there, because that's more true to your true identity. But everything you put after that is going to be what you experience moving forward. So what story are you telling, and how devoted are you to it, in order to create your highest abundant timeline and fully embody that and step into it? Because this is an embodiment game. This is an embodiment game. It's about self-actualizing the divine essence that you are, self-mastering your life experience as a divine creator, not as a separate self that's ego driven, that's out there trying to like create for its own sake. Like, this is about you fully surrendering the personal will and allowing the divine to work through you and create through you whatever it is that you're being called to create. That's going to require that you get out of your way, the you that you think you are, the you that's dying right now. This is the death of the old self and a rising and a rebirth. And I know we've already been through many rebirths on this journey, and many dark nights of the soul. This is where you rise fully and truly in your divinity, embodied in your divinity. All stories of lack, scarcity, unworthiness, fear no longer have power over you moving forward if you choose it. You are unstoppable. To take the word from my instructor today, you are unstoppable. This is your year, but you have to choose it for yourself. And why are you unstoppable? Because you have the divine pumping through your veins, looking through your eyes, breathing you. You are one with it. How could you not be? How could you not be unstoppable? How could you not be powerful? How could you not? You are one with all that is, and the creator that created you. Time you own it. You have to own it. And that means no longer taking action rooted in fear. And there's going to be a clicking. This is coming through. There's going to be a clicking into place where this is really starting to make sense for a lot of people. And it's going to happen fast. And 2025 is going to fly by. And so there's a window here. There's a window, and I don't ever want to project fear. So it's not like you can miss your destiny or miss your dharma or miss what you're supposed to experience, because it seems like things circle back, right? Like, things will circle back, but it's like you're at a pivotal point right now where you can just choose and have the energies right now that are very supportive of this transformation support you and move you into your highest timeline right now. So it's about, how much longer do you want to keep circling back, right? Like, it's time to just claim it. It's time to just own it. It's time to fully embody the divinity that you are and realize that you're connected to all of this. You get to create it. You get to create your reality moving forward. And right now, all of the angel numbers that were coming through this morning, 808, 919, 808, 919, 1212, which is all about having trust. 808, 919, and then 922. I got like 922 three times, and that's a personal message because I was born at 9:22 a.m. So that is my birth time, and this is the rebirth. This is connected to the rise, plate that I saw right connected to it. So we as a collective are rising together, and it's going to take each and every one of us to own our authenticity, being you, regardless of whatever comes out of that, right? Like it's going to look different for everybody. But did you really think for even a moment that you could create your dream life, or like live your most abundant timeline, or feel free and in the flow and all the things that your soul craves by not being you, by being someone else, or by wearing a mask, or by compromising your values or your standards, or giving your power away, or lying to yourself, or sacrificing, or over giving, or depleting yourself, or not honoring your heart? Did you think for a moment that that was going to be how you ride into your most abundant timeline? And I know I'm being a little facetious here right now, but I'm speaking directly to someone that needs to hear this. That's not the path that you're on. You are here to thrive. You are here to rise into your embodied divinity and be a walking, talking example for New Earth of what it looks like when you choose yourself, when you choose love over fear, when you choose to walk away from all the shit that's happened to you in the past, and you've alchemized it all, and you've moved through it all, and you've turned it into spiritual gold for yourself. You are here to be a walking, talking example of that. Your story does not define you. Your past does not define you. What happened to you did not define you. Your conditioning does not define you. It's played a role in your journey. It's played a role in your story, and we're not denying that, and we're not discounting that. We're actually honoring that. We honor that because it played a beautiful role in unfolding that brought you here to this very moment in time right now. Time is relative, but whatever, like whenever you land on this, it's meant for you. And it's also very timely for when this is being recorded, which is the very beginning of 2025. It's brought you here right now to this moment on humanity's timeline to step fully into your power and rise from the ashes of all of that and alchemize it for your greatest good. And not only alchemize it, but also tap into your highest divine gifts, which is all connected to your authenticity. This is why I'm so passionate about helping people alchemize their shadow and step into their power. Where all of this is so divinely timed. This is the response to the call of the collective, because this is what we're moving into. So if you want 13 weeks of 13 weeks of activations and moving into your highest timeline and activating your divine gifts and being the new earth light leader that you are, whatever that means for you, then you can check out Rise Sister Rise wherever you're, in the caption below this. And yeah, I would love to have you in that if you're feeling called, and you will know if that's you. So I hope this finds you well. And I love to hear where people are from as well. I haven't been asking that, but I would really like to know where you're tuning in from, whatever part of the world. If you want to drop that in the chat. But I kind of started a little pattern here. I really like to drop a word at the end so I know who's really here with me, who's really listening, who was willing to stick it out and watch all the way to the end of the video, who's really, really magnetized by what's coming through. Because I know you are part of this collective. You are who I am speaking to. Otherwise, you would have clicked off. And there's so much stuff out there. There's so much noise. You would have clicked off a long time ago if I wasn't speaking to you. So if you're still here with me now, I'm speaking to you. God is speaking to you through me, rather, is more accurate. That it's time to get off the fence with what you know you're here to do. Somewhere, somehow, you're sabotaging yourself. Somewhere, somehow, you are resistant to the change. Somewhere, somehow, you are dimming your lights. Somewhere, somehow, you are hiding. Somewhere, somehow, You are being called, and I don't know what that is for you particularly, and that doesn't matter. You know, and it's about being able to birth that into reality. And that's only going to happen as you fully embody your divinity and step into your I am presence, the God essence that you are, the goddess that you are, right? God essence that you are. And when you do, you are unstoppable. You are unstoppable when you know and you are in faith and trust, surrender that you are divinity in human form, which is exactly what you are. You are the divinity having a human expression. There's no room to play small. That's just a bullshit lie that you don't have to buy into anymore. You don't have to hide. You don't have to buy into any of the stories or the narratives or the conditioning and the programming. And you get to thrive and rise in your most abundant, highest divine timeline. And the time is now. The time is now. So that's the word we're dropping. The time is now. It's 3 words. Actually, is that 4? It's 4 words. The time is now. Let's go ahead and drop that if you're still with me, whether you're live or on the replay. The time is now. And now, what does that mean for you? What are you going to go out and take action on? Inspired action on, not action for the sake of action, sacred masculine energy. What are you going to go take action on? What are you going to say no to? What are you going to say yes to? It might get you out of your comfort zone. It might invoke some fear, but that's a good thing because you're here to shift out of the older version. The 2024 version is not going forward with you into 2025. So what are you going to do about it now? What are you going to show up for? How are you going to show up? What are you going to do differently? What are you going to say yes to? What are you going to say no to? So I hope this finds you well. And until next time, which would be tomorrow, hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here. If you're here, then I would love it. And namaste.